Hello everybody and welcome back to a new mod showcase. Today we've got a pretty naughty mod showcase to show you off. It's the Jurassic mod for the Lizardmen. It basically is imagine Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, whichever you've grown up with. Me personally, Jurassic Park, and you send off a team of boys to go recover some dinosaur eggs, very similar to how it happens in some of the films, and you go up there and you find some eggs, and actually it all goes quite swimmingly, at least most of the time, and you come back with some specimens and you can hatch those specimens into certain dinosaurs. Basically you're doing Jurassic Park but in the world of Warhammer. So it's a pretty cool mod, but it's a pretty big mod. So let's, without further ado, jump straight into it. If you do enjoy the video, please do leave me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get straight in there. The mod, as ever, will be in the description below. Okay, so here we are, loaded into a Tarangnagar campaign. Now, one thing to just quickly take into account, it doesn't matter what Lizardmen campaigns you play, all Lizardmen will have access to the Jurassic expedition system. However, Nakai has his own sub-mod because he obviously doesn't own settlements and stuff like that, so he doesn't work like a normal faction would. So he himself has his own sub-mod, which allows him to obviously go off and do his own thing. As you can see, we're on turn 55, just so I can show you pretty much everything this mod has to offer, because this mod is a hell of a slow burner. It starts off obviously with lower tier dinosaurs, and as you go through, you have to unlock more and more dinosaurs by progressing your levels of your specific lords, which we'll get into in a second. So actually having a look down here then, in the bottom hand right, ignore this. In the bottom right corner we've got this military convoys. This is part of the SFO update. We've got the military convoys, so click on that, and this is basically just similar to like the Chaos Dwarves expeditions, or sorry, convoys, or the Fang convoys, but instead of going on convoys to specific locations, you'll be going on convoys to specific areas to get certain dinosaurs. Now, the dinosaurs are quite well themed. For example, over here we've got more desert themed dinosaurs, not even really dinosaurs, they're more like avian type birds, and then, you know, over here we've got more like parasaurs and stuff like that. That's another thing you also see, is some dinosaurs are very similar, or if not in fact actually based in real life dinosaurs with real life names, like the parasaurs there. And then other dinosaurs are a little bit more fanatical. Archaeopteryx, they're actually a real life dinosaur as well. Yamiboro, good question. Same there with the Gehelox. They look like they could be themed after an allosaur. Again, we'll have a look at the models, but I'm just trying to show you obviously this kind of system. If you want certain dinosaurs, you have to go to certain areas. I do apologise if you hear any banging in advance. My neighbours are doing some renovations next door. Okay, they stopped. Never stopped. So what you see here is what you can get from each location. There are higher tier dinosaurs, like for example this one is a tier 4, and I believe that's tier 4 as well. So you have to level up your expedition chiefs, which I'll show you in a second, to be able to unlock different expeditions to get the higher tier dinosaurs. As why you can see in most of the expeditions I've done so far, I've only been able to get the first 2 because I've only just been able to level up my boys to go on these higher tier levels. Itself isn't actually a location which you can send an expedition to. However, it will show you basically unique dinosaur sets, which will show up here if you've collected them or not. On top of dinosaurs and all the many variants of dinosaurs in this game, there are also like an ancient lizardman species called the Gekolo. The Gekolos are looking pretty cool, to be fair. There's plenty of different Gekolos. Again, we will show them all. They're classed as ancient allies, which are pretty cool. And then yeah, when you unlock them through different events, like I know there's an event which I don't know if I'll be able to show you here, but there's an event where you get ambushed by them. If you defeat them in the ambush, they join you, which is, I think, is pretty cool. On top of that, there are also 4 specific encounters to happen. So if you look here, we've got 1 dinosaur there. There was one here, but I'll explain what's happened to that one. There's one here, and there's one here. Now, they all start grayed out, which is completely fine, and when you hover over them, they will tell you what you need to do in order to unlock them. So, for example, to unlock this dinosaur, you need to do 3 different live capture expeditions to 3 separate areas. So if we do 3 live capture expeditions, which again I'll show you them in a second, you will unlock this adversary event. Again, I'll show you what that means in 2 seconds. There was one here, I believe that is for ignoring 4 interventions. So when you send off your boys onto expeditions, there is every single turn there is a dilemma which will happen, and one of the dilemmas is a foreign army coming in and basically trying to intervene. You can choose to ignore that army, in which case they just kind of wander off and do their own thing, or you can choose to fight it for different benefits. Ignoring it 4 times will allow you to unlock that adversary battle. I've actually already done it. I wanted to see what it was like. I believe this one you have to fight some kind of like hunter, Empire Hunter, who's after like a Gekolo Prime, and that's why over here I've got that Gekolo, that's Halo. Gekolo Prime unlocked over here. God, Gekolo. Whoops. So as you can see, ignoring 4 interventions, this one's 3 live capture events to 3 different areas. This one is for herd extraction to 4 different areas. So I've already done 1 and 2, 3 more. And then this one, I can't actually remember what this one was. Oh, this one, sorry, I do remember. This one was just doing any expedition to all 7 areas. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So once you've done all 7, you unlock this one, which seems to be some kind of cool T-Rex. Now, once you've unlocked an adversary event, what will happen is when you send someone to this location, there's a high chance that the dilemma at the end of a turn, bearing in mind each convoy takes 5 turns, there's a high chance at the end turn that a adversary event will pop up. Now, speaking from experience, the one which triggered over here, you have 2 situations where you have to basically push them back, and on the third one you wipe them out for good, and in doing so you unlock this special dinosaur, which is obviously in that one the Colossodon Rex, which looks absolutely beautiful, by the way. Outside of that, I will quickly show you what a convoy looks like. So you start off with a new skink boy, expedition chief, and each one very similar to how convoy masters will work from the other factions, will have a kind of affinity to a certain unit or buff. Now this one actually is kind of a weird one. Oh no, yeah, sorry, no, they get access to Tarangnagar riders. So one thing to take into account, the intervention armies, a lot of the time, are absolutely giga chads. You need to really build up your forces before you build up a good enough force to obviously deal with a lot of the intervention forces, because you get slapped so hard, because everyone starts, every skink lord starts with these 5 units, which aren't great, and then a selection of additional units. Like for example, this boy gets 2 Sky Sentinels, just Pterodon Riders. These are awful. This is an awful one. Don't go for Deft. Honoured, alright, a little bit better. You get Encourage and Immune Psych for Saurus units, and you spawn with 3 units of Saurus weapons. So if you're going up against, I know I've gone up against Petronia with Grail Guardians and stuff like that. Absolutely abysmal state of affairs. These will at least be able to do a little bit better there. You will have different events which will pop up, which will grant you different units and stuff like that. But generally speaking, that's all you've got to go off. You get a really shocking starting army. Now, if I go on to, how will I be able to do this? If I go on here and then click on one of my boys, my Hanok convoy here. So this is my expedition chief. This is one of 2 I've got going around. Unfortunately, you can only do 1 expedition at a time. I don't believe, I've looked through the technology tree, I don't believe you actually get any technology to give you an additional convoy chance. So yeah, it might be worth just using 1. I don't know. It's completely up to you if you want to use 1 or 2. I chose 2. Interesting thing to take into account, you have to be a certain level to be able to do different expeditions. So this passionate one down here gives extra character experience gains, so definitely an important one to do. And then to actually unlock those extra expeditions, you need to be level 9 for Animal Wrangler, which will unlock herd extraction, and then level 15, I believe, for live capture expeditions. So you need to really be hammering these boys in. If you can win an intervention, fight it, win it, get the experience and level up. These are very important. Now, when it comes to actually launching an expedition, we will actually show you here. So I'm going to click on Kiko Aka Convoy, Add Master, boom. And again, very much like similar to the other convoys, whatever we choose to do. For example, I will go back over here and see if I can trigger this adversary event. The amount of money you put in depicts how many specimens you get. Now, specimens is basically the collection of dinosaurs you get at the end. So after this interaction of 5 turns, this expedition of 5 turns, I will get 5 dinosaurs added to my pool. And it's quite simply just like that. Boom, dispatch. They spawn over here at Itza. However, they teleport to the location. They don't get intercepted by any rogue armies. They are invisible to the AI on the campaign map. They are only impacted by dilemmas which pop up at the end of the turn. Now, when sending you a convoy off initially, you get a choice of 4 different options here. So we've got field research, egg collection, herd extraction, and live capture. Field research and egg collection are the first 2 expeditions you can do. Field research gives you temporary growth and research bonus, which, yep, faction wide, cool. Yeah, if you're not obviously too bothered about dinosaurs, it's quite nice for the faction wide growth, especially research bonus. Yeah, cool. And then the other one is egg collection, which gives you low tier units of 1 or 2. Sorry, low tier units, many low tier units, and maybe 1 or 2 mid tier units. So that, if you remember back to the expedition screen, that's why I've got a lot of 1 low tier units, and then some of them I had the second dinosaur highlighted, obviously in colours, to show that I've got them. But the 3rd and 4th dinosaur, I hadn't got any. That is because you need to level up to, obviously, like I say, unlock these 2 options. So herd extraction is very similar to egg collection, but you will get a mix of mid-tier units. So these will be level 2s and 3s. You know, not too bad, obviously getting rid of the tier 1s. And then live capture is going to be those higher tier units where you're going to get 3s and 4s. So depending what you want, obviously depends what you want to go for. I'm going to go for live capture here. This is my first live capture, so I'm going to send them off. And boom, just like that. Right now he spawns over at Itza, but at the end of next turn he will teleport over to, I believe I sent him here. And he'll just kind of wander around here. The enemy can't see him, the AI can't see him, he's completely invulnerable to their damage, he's completely invulnerable to attrition. He will just be impacted by dilemmas. Now what I will do is show you a couple of dilemmas over the end turn here, because there's multiple dilemmas we can come across. So I think without further ado, we'll quickly skip over to that. I think that's pretty much all I've got to show you for the live expeditions. I'll show you the dilemmas, I'll show you a little bit of the adversary event, and then I'll come back here to show you what happens once you've got the dinosaurs. So let's go on to that. Okay, so here we go. As you send out convoys, you will get different events or dilemmas which will pop up, which give you a whole entire array of different things. So for example, with this one, we've actually got a situation where the dinosaurs we're trying to obviously track down and add to our ranks. There's been an earthquake which has separated a family of dinosaurs from the rest of the herd. The rest of the herd is trying to save them, but basically it's only a matter of time until they fall beneath the black bubbling tar. And we've got a choice here: to let nature take its course, which rough, see you later, have a good life, very short life, or save the herd for 200 gold and we get an extra dinosaur added to the ranks at the end of the dilemma route. Every single time you take a turn, so it takes 5 turns for a convoy to complete its expedition. Every single turn, a different dilemma will pop up. So I'm going to show you, I think 3 would be a good number, just quickly show you. So this is one of them. Obviously, we're going to save the herd for 200 gold, of course we are. And then I'll show you a couple more what happens, because there's loads of different ones. Obviously, definitely take the time to go through and have a look at them. At the end of each turn, something happens every single time, guaranteed. So yeah, let's have a look. I'll give you 2 more examples, just so you get a bit of an understanding of the dilemmas you can come across. Okay, and I think here's a good example of an intervention which happens, which is, like I say, a random situation where some wood elves have spawned. It turns out they've basically got lost in the world roots, and they've come out and they're in awe of the dinosaurs. And despite their respect, we need to kill them. They're not actually harming anyone, they're actually being quite nice and civil, but alas, not part of the old one's plans. So again, we can ignore them, which obviously allows you to go in an intervention expedition thing. sorry, trespass expedition for ignoring 4 times. But if you do intervene, you get different rewards. This time we get additional 2 dinosaurs. So I believe we had 5 to begin with, and now we're going to have 7. This one actually isn't too bad, and I've got a pretty stonky defending force here now that I built it up. This is what it normally spawns in as, though, so you can imagine the skink stack at the beginning having an abysmal time against this. But for us, bosh, nice, lovely jubbly, and that is done. Now I'm going to skip to the end of this expedition and show you what happens when the actual dinosaurs get here, and also go over and save Master Mundi for whatever reason. Give me a second. Okay, so here we go. A few turns have now passed, and as you can see here, the expedition has just completed. So we've got a whole array of some naughty boys. I think I did the highest difficulty one here, so a lot of these are tier 4 boys, but usually you don't get this many. I just got a lot of dilemmas which popped up, which gave me additional dinosaurs. So I've got absolutely boatloads. Now, after accepting that, obviously it'll go and cool down. Your lord will go and cool down for 2 turns, but like I say, this is where you kind of can decide if you want 2 or not. Oh, fierce. You can kind of decide if you want 2 or not. Again, maybe having 1 might be just better than just waiting a 2 turn to just level up him. But obviously, I've got 2, so you can send the other boy straight off on his merry way to wherever you want to go. Otherwise, you have to wait 2 turns. If we go to our main boy now, well, any boy, don't really matter, but we'll go to Tarangnagar. Again, excuse this. This is Immortal Empires Expanded, so I'm playing a little bit of a hefty mod campaign. Down here in the bottom line here, we've got a couple of different options, but this is the one we want to be looking for. So we've got hatch eggs. So what you can do is go on here, and any dinosaurs you've collected, they will stack up to 20 altogether. And then if we actually just, for simplicity's sake, just get rid of some saws there. There you go. You can see all these different boys we've got now access to. So we've got 12 of them, Jesus Christ. 1 of them, 5 of them, 3 of them. And so quite literally all you do is just pay the money and add them to the roster. That's all you do. They act very similar to like a Regiment of Renown. You've got some Gekolos there. And obviously some of the ones we haven't unlocked yet. So quite simple on obviously how you recruit them, how you actually bring them in. As long as you got them in the expedition, you can spawn them in. Now for purposes of this video, we'll spawn in a Parasol unit here. If we go down to, oh god, there's multiple different options. That's not the right one, that's SFO one, this one. There we go. You can actually see, you can upgrade them. So it's kind of cool. Certain dinosaurs have 2 variations, and by having those variations, once they reach a certain level, so it has to be rank 4, so a silver chevron, you can upgrade it to the other version of the dinosaur. So you can find them while obviously out and about and hunting around, but if not, you can just upgrade them anyway, which I think is really cool, obviously having the base version into the upgraded version. So yeah, a nice little addition there, probably something which didn't need to be added, but yeah, really cool that you can do that. With that being said, I believe that is all she wrote for the actual campaign mechanics side of things. I don't think there's actually too much more I need to show you, or should show you. Like I say, there's hundreds of dilemmas you can stumble upon when actually doing the expeditions. Something really important over here. I don't know why that was so weird. But yeah, that's it. I think now let's actually head into a custom battle and have a look at the models, because they are glorious. So let's do that. Okay, so here we go. We've got the roster of all the new dinosaurs and such things. I do apologise for any roaring. I am showcasing dinosaurs, so I hope you would at least expect a little bit. It's just a heads up, I couldn't actually show off the expedition chief. Unfortunately, I can't actually spawn him in skirmish. But basically, it was just a purple skink. In all fairness, he was just a purple skink. So without further ado, let's get into it. We haven't got as many boys to show off. It doesn't actually go all the way down here. It cuts off of the trees, and same here. So it looks like there might be more than what there actually is. But rest assured, there's a lot, but there's not as many as what there normally is. So starting off, we're going to start off with in groups, basically, of what you find together. So obviously going back to the expeditions, you find 4 of them together. So 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and so on. We've also got Tarangnagar here, obviously being a lord who needed to come along in the dinosaur spirit. However, he himself can just go away now. Bye. See you later. Right. So we're going to start off with these lovely boys. We've got some parasaurs. One thing you'll notice, these character models are absolutely beautiful. So we've got 2 units of parasaurs. I will hover over the stats and I will tell you about these because there's not too many, but obviously I can't go through all the stats. Stats are actually looking pretty good as they are dinosaurs, they're wildlife, so they're going to have pretty good stats, but they do come with Rampage Armoured, which isn't too bad, 70 armour, and Primal Instincts is also pretty good. They are tier 2 with unit count 16, which, yeah, that's fine, but they're like your feral core ones right at the beginning. You do also have a different variation of the parasaurs. So these are the parasaur rider teams with some skinks in the back of them, looking absolutely glorious. Loving them boys. So in comparison, just hovering over them, they have better leadership, a better charge bonus, but less melee attack and less melee defense because obviously they're not as primal. But they do lose that rampage, which is really nice. On top of that, obviously they do have a range attack with poison on their missiles, which is really nice. Power moving, yeah, really good. Moving on, you've got some flying boys now, which are actually kind of themed after like hammerhead sharks they remind me of, but they look beautiful. So these are, I guess manta rays. Yeah, no, I guess manta rays. These are the Manticuda riders. They are tier 3 with entity count of 10, which isn't too bad, obviously being mounted by some skinks. They are armor-piercing, anti-large, vanguard deployment, and firewall moving. So these boys are going to be really good at obviously getting around the battlefield and taking down some large units if they can. Bonus 3 charge, armor-piercing, and magical attacks on their... Oh, sorry, that's on the weapon strength. Magical attacks, armor-piercing, bonus 3 large, and electroshock on their ranged. Electroshock there reduces speed and reload skill, which is a really nice firewall movement as well. Is great. And the last boy we've got, look at this boy. We've got the Ixolodocus. I'm going to butcher plenty of names here, so strap in. So this is a tier 4 boy, very similar to like a feral Dreadsaurian type deal. He's armor-piercing, anti-infantry, causes terror, but does have rampage. So be careful, obviously, as he takes more damage, he's going to go a bit out of control. However, with his stats all round, he's not too bad. 10,000 health, and his stats are looking pretty good with the bonus to infantry and armor-piercing there. He's just a bit of a, not a glass cannon, but unhinged at times, should we say. Sorry for the awkward cut there. I had a bit of a frog stuck in my throat. Moving on to the next set of 4, then straight off the get-go, we've got the Archaeopteryx. These boys look absolutely terrifying compared to where I've seen them, which is an Ark Survival Evolved, or Ascended, if you, you know, daddle with that. These are tier 1. They're very weak, but again, still dinosaurs, still pretty cool, still coming with primal instincts and stuff like that, but do obviously have rampage, predatory fighter, they're not too bad. Stalk is going to be really good. These boys obviously going to be able to hide a little bit easier. Vanguard deployment is going to work really nicely with that as well. And the bonus to infantry. These boys are going to be really good at tackling, like, for example, artillery and archers and stuff like that. Yeah, a really good, like, sneaky stalking unit. However, they can, of course, go into a rampage. These things are absolute abominations. These are basically taking a skink head off and strapping it onto a dinosaur, and this is what you got. So this is Yamiboro. They are armored, armor piercing, again rampage with primal instincts. The stats not looking too bad. They do have feral rage there, which unfortunately does give them more rampage, but again, Lizardmen come with an ability to calm rampage, so it might not be too bad, but you've got to keep them near a lord. AP on the weapon strength not too bad, but they do come with a second variation, which are heavily armoured in comparison. Actually, okay, so they are model-wise, but actually not on the body, on the stats-wise. So when comparing stats, they have more health, a little bit more leadership, literally a sliver more melee attack, sliver more melee defense, more weapon strength, and more charge bonus. These boys are mounted by some Saurus, which look absolutely beautiful, very heavily cladded back there. They do come with a shielded effect there, as well as armor piercing, bonus fuselage there. Not too bad. Yeah, all round a heavy hitter, armoured and shielded. They do get the bonus fuselage. Do they have bonus fuselage? No. So they get an additional bonus fuselage, I'm assuming because of the Saurus weapons there. So yeah, again, really good. Looking beautiful. A lot less terrifying with the mask on, I will admit, even though he tried to call his off. Stop it. Moving on to the last boy you can get. It's like a Spinosaur kind of weird abomination. This is the Ictolimimus. It's armoured, armour piercing, causes terror and has primal instincts. You can see there it doesn't actually have any rage, but it does have the feral rage down here, which can give it rampage, depending on its health. But again, mix that with some lords, you can calm it down, but it doesn't just go into a rampage randomly, which is good. Have a look at stats there. Yeah, absolutely glorious there. Really good stats. Weapon strength 373 with armor piercing. And he also does have a range attack, 180, which isn't anything to scoff at. A good range there, as you can see there, and has armor piercing on his range as well. So yeah, a good versatile tier 3, bear in mind. So quite mid-tier dinosaur. Moving on to the next set of boys, you've got some Axolotls, but they're called Noatls. These are a tier 2 with an entity count of 32. They're armor piercing, aquatic. They do have rampage and the primal instincts again. Having a look at stats, not too bad. Obviously, we are only tier 2. Armor piercing on the weapons with magical attacks on their range. They do have a bonus fees large on range as well, which is really cool. And then a tide call effect there, which gives them melee defense. Sorry, gives the enemy less melee defense and less speed. They also have amphibious there, which is pretty cool. As long as it's in water, it gets ammunition back, which is so cool. Actually, that's such a cool little trade-off there, especially obviously played in like Lustry and stuff like that. Moving on to these boys, we've got two versions of these. So these are the Gekelos. They remind me of Allosaurs, kind of mixed with Carnosaurs. Like, yeah, they look cool. Tier 3 with entity count of 24. There's plenty of them. You will notice in a lot of these models, a lot of the units, there's loads of them. So yeah, 24 models, not too bad. Stats, again, not awful. They are dinosaurs. Armor piercing there, but do have rampage. They do count as a siege tracker, which is nice. Early game, Gekelos. Moving on to their second variation, we've got the Gekelok Riders. These are tier 4. These boys are going to be absolute monsters, I will say. So hovering over, they do have a little bit more leadership, melee attack, melee defense, weapon strength, and charge bonus. They do also have a bonus for these infantry, which I think this is where it will really ramp up when using these boys, obviously being mounted by the Saurus back there. That additional bonus for these infantry is going to be able to just tear through low. I mean, it's armor piercing anyway, but lower tiered units are just going to get absolutely wrecked. Anything which isn't anti-large will just get chewed apart. Obviously, being dinosaurs, I'd like to say that they've probably got a little bit more staying power than what some of the other units would. And then we've got this thing. Look at this. Jesus Christ. We've got the Mako Pleurodon. Is how I'm going to say it. This is a tier 4 entity count, obviously just one big boy. He's armor piercing, causes terror, scaly skin, and he is also aquatic. Stats, yeah, looking really nice. He does also have the, oh no, it's not the amphibious one, it's the Leviathan one, which if he's in water, he heals. He also gets more missile resistance, vigor reduction, and splash attack power, which is actually really cool. So this, I love that. Themed units around water so that they do better in fighting in water. On top of all that, he does also have AP there on his weapon strength as well, which, yep, absolutely glorious. Moving over here, we've got the next, get out of here. We've got the next boys. We've got some little cephalopods. Look at these cute boys. They look adorable. I love like the cephalopods family of like the Triceratops and stuff like that. Yeah, anything like that, absolutely adore them. So yeah, cephalopods, armored, rampage, primal instincts, entity count of 32 at tier 2. Obviously, these are very early game dinosaurs. These are they're still dinosaurs. They're still all right, but yeah, don't expect the world of them. Listen, they're doing the best they can. Moving on to the second variation though, they do have a Cephalopods Riders variant. So these are tier 3 with an entity count of 48. So what, double is that? Oh no, like an extra 16 on top. So yeah, not too bad. Comparing stats, they have a lot more health, more leadership, more melee attack, more melee defense, but a little bit more charge bonus. I'm going to assume probably because they're a bit slowed down because of the speed of the battle. But what they do lack in a little bit more charge bonus, they do now have a range option. So a range of 80, which isn't too bad, but it is all around them. It's a firewall moving effect, yeah, which is really good. They also have this, which is dazed on their missiles. Missile strength as well, 84 is really good to be fair. Not too bad for an early game like skirmish unit. It's going to bring down that melee defense and speed, which is going to be really good, obviously, for flanking boys and pelting them in the back. But again, bless them, but they're so cute. This one's actually some of them have pretty nice armor, I'm not honest. Yeah, all round, not too bad. Moving on, we've got the Dilophosaurs, but they're actually called Dilophoraptors. Sure, these things look absolutely terrifying. They are tier 2 with an enter count of 32. They have precursor missiles, which, yep, that's absolutely fine. Only 8 ammunition, but like I say, they're going to be spitting. I'm going to assume, yeah, given the blinded effect, which brings down accuracy, melee attack, and melee defense by 15, which is really good. They're actually a firewall moving unit, which is really cool. Obviously, they can kind of fire and move back, speed at 80, so they are pretty fast. So they could definitely use up all the ammunition and obviously support before going in. They do have Vanguard deployment, which is really nice, as well as poison attacks on their melee and armor piercing, and of course come the predatory senses. No rampage, except from the far rage there, which is pretty good, I believe. Obviously not just breaking out into a random rage is great. Moving on to the Ornithosaurus. Excuse me. It sounds like a disease or something. So this boy is, of course, a flyer, looking absolutely beautiful in all its flying majesty. This boy is a tier 4 with an enter count of obviously just himself. His armor piercing causes terror and has scaly skin, but he does have rampage there. Have a look at stats all round. He's a heavy hitter. This boy is going to be really good with the AP on his weapon strength. He's just going to be great, obviously, dealing damage, but obviously try and be careful where you put him, because if he breaks and goes into a rampage, you've got an issue if he's obviously nowhere near a lord. Okay, moving on to the next set of 4 here. We're actually almost done with sets of 4s. I think we've got 2 more out of 7, so we're actually going through this at pretty good space. We've got the Kulkans. These boys remind me of something out of Final Fantasy, I think it is. These are a tier 2 with an enter count of 60. They are very fast at speed 100. These boys are really fast. Vanguard deployment, rampage, and primal instinct, so of course, be careful with that rampage. All round, they don't bring too much to the table, except from obviously having that Vanguard deployment and being extremely fast. But they will be obviously able to get around and harass weak units like archers and artillery. These boys are going to be really good at chasing them down. They do come with a variation, which are the Kulkan Riders. I love the little like head dress these boys got on. In comparison to their normal variants there, they look smaller. I feel like they are smaller, haven't they? They have more health, more leadership, more melee attack, more melee defense, more weapon strength, and more charge bonus. And they also come with the additional bonus of having anti-large, which is going to be great, obviously early game anti-large with a tier 2 enter count of 60, so yeah, not too bad. Bonus to large, and they're also shielded because of the good old skinks in the back there. So yeah, a nice early game anti-large cavalry. Moving on, we've got 2 terrible beasts here. We've got the Carconix. It can fly, first off, but it looks absolutely horrifying. Look at those eyes. It's tier 2 with an enter count of 1, so it's going to be an early game flyer. Causes terror, primal instincts, but does of course have that random rampage whenever taking damage. Looking at stats, not too bad. Again, it's just an early game flyer. It's one of them. It's going to be a nice addition to obviously complement like the Ripidons and stuff like that before you actually get stronger flyers. So yeah, not too bad. And moving on to the big boy. These boys are found in the desert, by the way, so they all look kind of desert themed. This boy is the Raycopterus. It's basically just a giant terror bird. Armor piercing, anti-infantry, causes terror, but does have that random rampage. It's a tier 4 with an enter count of 1, and does have bonus for infantry and armor piercing on its weapon strength. So this boy is going to be a heavy hitter, but of course that random rampage could be devastating. So keep an eye on him while he's tearing people apart. Moving on to the next set of boys. Actually, we do have 2 more. We've got these lovely creatures. These are basically ankylosaurs, but yeah, on steroids. So these are the Kryptonov. We've got obviously the base version. Tier 3 it already starts off as a tier 1, which is tier 1 with an enter count of 1. Jesus Christ. Armoured, armour piercing melee, causes terror and rampage. So again, rampage rough, but it is what it is. They are dinosaurs. Bonus to infantry and armour piercing on its weapon strength, and it does come with a wall breaker attribute, which is really nice, and of course counts as a siege attacker. It does also have immune to flanking, because I'd like to think if anything's attacking the back of its tail, it's also going to take a nice slap by it in the same breath. Moving on to its variant then, we've got the Nova engine variant. This thing looks absolutely horrific. It's Absolutely insane. Comparing stats, it only has a little bit more leadership. Like, that's all it has. It's just a little bit more leadership. But it does lose its rampage, and even like the feral one here, the feral rage, it completely loses it all. Having looked then at stats for its range, which is absolutely insane. It's got 20 shots, so not a whole lot of shots, but they are magical and flaming. A range of 450, which I'm just telling you right now, pretty much hits the front line. Ridiculously good. And then a missile strength of 186 with the blinded effect. This thing is crazy. This, I don't know why, but it reminds me of the fucking Gungans from Star Wars. Is it the Phantom Menace, where they've got those fucking weird creatures with a massive fucking thing in the back? I don't know. It just kind of reminds me of it. No idea why. Moving on to some more awful looking dinosaurs. I say awful very modestly. They look absolutely great, but it's again another situation where you basically just stripped an oxyotl of his head and stuck it onto a dinosaur. So here we've got the Omicamps. They are armored, armor piercing, anti-large, and primal instincts. Enter count of 32, tier 3. All around not too bad. They are wall breaker, which is interesting. I guess because the heads, the horns, they're like pachysaurs. I think they're called. So yeah, not too bad. They also count as siege attackers. So yeah, pretty nice early game siege attacker there, obviously, for getting in. And then you've got the Giga Chad version. Look at this abomination. This is the Bayhalus. He is a tier 4 entity count of 1. He is armoured, armor piercing, anti-large. As you can see there by his stats, looking pretty good, but does come with that rampage. He doesn't actually have the Wallbreaker attribute, but he's going to be pretty menacing in melee. Obviously, looking at his weapon strength, 470 is nothing to scoff at. Moving on to the last set of 4 then, before we go on to like the unique ones and the very unique ones. We've got the Gyrodons. We've got 2 variants of these. We've got the base version here, which is tier 3 into count of 1, armoured, armor piercing, Corsaterra, and rampage. All round, nothing really to write home about. Armor piercing, bonus v symmetry, and the melee is pretty nice. But yeah, all round, yeah, it is what it is. Just a Stegosaurus. I was going to say Stegodon there. Stegosaurus. Yeah, looks cool. We've also got the Gyrodon C-beam array, which again looks absolutely menacing. Look at that thing. This is going to be abysmal. I'm just going to let you know. So it obviously carries over all the attributes, a little bit more health, a little bit more leadership, but look at that weapon strength. 1.5k with a blinded, armor piercing, flaming magical attack. That is gonna hurt, and with a range of 320 it can pretty much go across the map. So yeah, this thing, the C-beam array, is gonna be naughty. Moving on to some turtles, we've got the Cherubins, 2 variants of them. That's one thing to take into account from this expedition. You've just got 2 dinosaurs, but with 2 variants of the dinosaurs. They also have a little ability there, which gives them physical resistance, but they cannot move. They basically go into the shell, which is kind of cool. So yeah, armoured, primal instincts, rampage, bless them, they're only tier 2. Immune to flanking though, not too bad. Missile resistance obviously with the shells, 15%. All round, yeah, pretty good. Tier 2, bless them, don't expect to do much of them. And then these boys, we've got the Chirpin Gunner team. Okay, so these are a little bit interesting. So they can stabilise and stop themselves from moving, which gives them more missile resistance and range, as long as they are out of melee. They look pretty cool with some skinks on the back of them. Armoured, foul moving, and primal instincts, which isn't too bad. Range 225 is glorious, and obviously missile strength only 33 with shield breaker and armor piercing. So good AP early game. But again, these boys are only tier 2, so bless them, don't expect too much of them. Moving on to these things, so these boys just kind of didn't fit anywhere, so these are just going to get their own little introduction. They're just like bats. These are the Paharas, yeah. Basically piranhas but fly. They are Vanguard deployment, primal instincts, but weak against armor. They are tier 1 with an entity count of 60. What you see is what you get. 60 crazy piranha flying boys, and that is it. Moving on. So, there isn't actually a unique lord, but these boys are basically your ancient allies, and they remind me of aliens from the Alien vs Predator films, trilogy series. These things are horrendous looking, absolutely horrifying. So these are the most primal version. These are the Gekolo carnivores. They are anti-infantry, stalk, predator sensors, and obviously have the Gekolo thing, which they have a defense bonus when fighting in trees, which is pretty nice. And also are unimpeded by forest, which is nice. They have Strider, which makes them don't give a fuck about terrain anyway. Vanguard deployment, stalk, and siege attacker. So again, nice early siege attacker. Energy count of 24, only tier 2. So yeah, a nice versatile unit there. Also, bonus infantry and AP there. Yeah, good. Moving on to the second version, we've got the Gekolo Spitters. Look at these. These look great. So they're anti-infantry, firewall moving, predator sensors, and obviously have the Gekolo trait. They are tier 3 with an enter count of 24. Have a look at their weapon strength. They have bonus for infantry and armor piercing. And then on their range, they have flaming attacks, Gekolo acid, which does damage over time, and missile bot chance down by 20. And AP. So these boys are going to be great as well. You could really get like a primal army of just like Gekolos in there with just one boy leading them. Could be really nice. Here we've got the Gekolo Hunters. These are armor piercing, anti-large, predator sensors, and Gekolo. Obviously the Gekolo trait just makes them fight better in trees. But for a large unit, this is actually really good because large units normally don't like to fight in trees. They actually have like negative stats all around. Looking at them, yeah, good stats. Armor and bonus piece large, so obviously in comparison to the other cousins there, these boys are definitely going to be a heavy hitter against large units, so really good. Maybe like Crocs Gods and stuff like that could be great to go up against. Oh, well, like as an example, obviously you're going to probably be playing with Crocs Gods, so. Moving on to the Gekolo Chargers here. Look at these boys. These are great. Obviously themed after, I believe, rat ogres, but I just love the work people put into this. So obviously be able to take a rat ogre and make it so different is so good. Armored and shielded, armor sundering, predator sensors, and Gekolo. Tier 3 with an entity count of 12. Looking at the stats, all around not too bad. They have a 360 block as well. I would like to think so with these monstrous things here. Siege attacker, unstoppable charge, strider, and they can hide in a forest, which is nice for obviously a larger unit. AP on the weapons as well as sundered armor, so you're going to be reducing the enemy's armor. Whoopsie daisy. And they do have obviously that shielded effect as well. And then moving on to basically the queen. Look at this thing. This thing is glorious. This is the Gekolo Prime. He is basically the Giga Chad of the army. You can only get one of them. The units I'm about to show you, you can only get one of them. But you probably only need one of them. So looking at them, he is anti-large, causes terror, predator sensors, and Gekolo. He pretty good stats, magical attacks there, bonus fuselage and armor piercing. Nice abilities, obviously being able to hide in forests, even despite his size. Strider and siege attacker. And he does also have a killing blow, which for 30 seconds gives him bonus to base weapon damage and AP. So yeah, all around not too bad, but terrifying looking nevertheless. And now moving on finally to the last 3 units, we have 3 legendary dinosaurs, which you cannot get more than one of, and you have to do those intervention trespassing events to unlock them. Starting off then with this thing looks absolutely beautiful. This is the Colossodon Rex, it's a T-Rex. This is tier 5, entity out of obviously just himself. He's armoured, armour piercing, anti-large, and causes terror. This thing is an absolute beast with a bonus piece large and armour piercing there on his main attacks. And a Tyrant's Roar, which removes terror and fear and immune to psychology. So things won't be scared. Things won't be able to intimidate people with terror or fear, and then things which are immune to psychology will no longer be immune to psychology, which is great. It affects all enemies in range and also lowers their melee defense, which is insane. Also starts on a bit of a cooldown there, but yeah, that is ridiculously good. Yeah, stats all around really, really nice. Predator fighter, frenzy. He does have the rampage though, the feral rage, so again, just be mindful, keep an eye on him, obviously try and stay close. This thing is great. Excuse me. Get over there. This thing is great. It's like a moving city. Look at all the skinks on the back of it. Got some on the back, got some on the sides. Got a nice little altar right at the top here. It's a shame that no one's actually set up here because it looks like a bit of like a throne type chair. I'd love someone to be sat up there, but there's not. So this is the Thunder Lizard, absolute monster if you compare it to like something it's probably based on, which is this. Let's put it next to it. Yeah, atrocious. This thing is huge. So again, this one is a legendary animal. It's armored, armor piercing, good range, because it does also come with a range attack, and then causes terror. Tier 5, entity count of 1. All round, yeah, not looking too bad. He does have, let me just move the custom Rex a little bit away. He does have bonus to imagery and armor piercing on his weapons, as well as magical attacks and flame attacks on his range, which is really nice. 8.2k missile strength. He's going to be just one-shotting things. Again, only 7 shots, but whatever he hits is just going to wither away. It doesn't matter. With a bonus to symmetry there and armor piercing, that is insane. God, that is awful. That thing, it's a good thing you can only get one of them, because that thing can wreck armies by itself. And then moving on finally to the Quetzalcoatlus. This thing is beautiful looking, obviously based after a Caffeine Dragon, but nevertheless, again, a really good. It doesn't stay still, but Caffeine Dragons never do. Have a look at it then. It is a Master of the Sacred Places, which gives it a passive ability. Any friendly unit, ground unit which stands within its passive ability range gains stalk, which is cool. Causes terror and scaly skin. Have a look at then, tier 5, entity count of 1. Stats, alright, it can of course fly, so not too bad. It actually stays, oh no, never mind, I was going to say it stays a little bit more still when flying, but no. Magical attacks and armor piercing on its weapons, and all round, not too bad. Master of Sacred Places, yeah, and a bonus for speed there as well. Good resistances, siege attacker, causes terror, primal instincts, and it does also have this, which is the impact of, I'm not even going to try, Gekolo, I did try. It's a nice explosion ability. It does actually pretty good damage there, and then gives a monstrous impact effect which reduces speed and charge speed there, yeah. So all round, not too bad. But that being said, that is the whole roster for the Jurassic Park mod. But I said Jurassic Park mod. It's just a Jurassic mod. But it's basically Jurassic Park, but in Warhammer. Really cool with the amount of dinosaurs we get here. A really nice addition. Very well done. Very well themed. And some naughty units. Unfortunately, like I say, I couldn't show you the Expedition Chief, but he's just a purple skin. He, in all sense and purposes, is just a purple. He's a purple skin. He's cool. But that being said, if you did enjoy the mod, as ever, the mod will be in the description below. Please do leave me a like if you did enjoy the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next one. Bye.